A very good morning and welcome to News at 10 on Rajya TV. My name is Aishwarya Kapoor. Well, demonetization continues to be our top focus. Now, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has said there is no question of a rollback. We'll go ahead full throttle. This even as Supreme Court is to hear pleas on the demonetization of 500 and 1,000 rupee notes. All the details on that and much more in this bulletin in the next half an hour. Let us begin with the headlines. Banks directed to waive off ATM charges on all transactions till 30th of December. Parking fee at airports waived off for a week. Government reiterates it won't roll back demonetization move. Opposition parties demand discussion on demonetization at all-party meet called by Lok Sabha Speaker. Demand also raised for prioritizing discussion on surgical strikes. Centre calls all-party meeting today. Government to reintroduce compulsory Class 10 board exams for CBSE schools from next academic year. States to be given authority to reintroduce Class 5 and 8 board exams. And 2016 to be the hottest year on record. The latest report as United Nations Climate Summit in Marrakech looks to evolve consensus on implementing the Paris climate deal. India calls for making a lifestyle of minimum carbon footprint. Well, the issue of demonetization has emerged as the most crucial matter on which the opposition is demanding a discussion during the winter session of Parliament that begins on Wednesday. But an all-party meeting called by Lok Sabha Speaker Sumitra Mahajan on Monday, the opposition parties also demanded discussion on the situation in Jammu and Kashmir as well as cross-LOC surgical strikes among others.
Lok Sabha Speaker Sumitra Mahajan called an all-party meeting ahead of the beginning of the winter session of Parliament on Wednesday. The issue of demonetization figured prominently during the discussion at the meeting. Apart from that, cross-LOC surgical strikes, situation in Jammu and Kashmir, OROP and the alleged plight of farmers also figured during discussions in the meeting.
जो नोट्स की करेंसी वाला इशू वो थोड़ा सा सबसे ज़्यादा वो चाहते हैं कि वो डिस्कशन में आ जाए. जम्मू कश्मीर का इशू भी डिस्कशन में लेना चाहते हैं और कई सारे इशू, लेकिन एक मामले में बहुत सी पार्टियां एक दिखी कि जो बात आ रही थी कि स्टेट और केंद्र दोनों के चुनाव एक साथ होना चाहिए, विधानसभा और लोकसभा के. इस विषय में भी एक डिबेट की डिमांड आई है, उसमें स्टेट फंडिंग की भी बात आई. ये भी एक इशू आना चाहिए चर्चा में.
Major opposition parties during the meet, which lasted over 3 hours, urged the Lok Sabha Speaker to allow a debate on demonetization on a priority to highlight the difficulties being faced by the public. The issue of holding simultaneous elections to the state assemblies and the Lok Sabha and state funding of polls also emerged as issues on which parties have demanded a discussion.
एक तो demonetization 100 और 500 नोट्स का, उससे कितनी दिक्कत गरीबों को हो गई है, सैलरीड पीपल को, हाउसवाइफ्स को, स्मॉल ट्रेडर्स को, डेली वेज अर्नर्स को, और सारे देश में इसका बहुत बड़ा बुरा असर पड़ा है. इसके लिए इसको चर्चा में लेना जरूरी है.
The Lok Sabha Speaker said 22 to 23 bills are likely to be introduced in the session, which will have 22 sittings. Apart from the Congress, leaders of the BJD, Trinamool Congress, SP, Shiromani Akali Dal, Shiv Sena, LJP, RLSP and BJP were present at the meeting. Following the meet, the Speaker also hosted a dinner which was attended by the Prime Minister. Today, the Centre has called an all-party meeting ahead of the Parliament session. Bureau Report, Rajya TV.
Meanwhile, the ruling NDA allies have hailed Prime Minister Narendra Modi's decision to demonetize high-value notes during the NDA meet in New Delhi on Monday. While Prime Minister Narendra Modi ruled out any rethink on rendering the high-value currency notes as illegal, as the parties are prepared to take on the opposition in the winter session of Parliament beginning from Wednesday. The Prime Minister told the NDA allies that there was no need to be defensive on demonetization, as there is widespread support for the move and people are ready to face hardships for larger gains. Now, Information and Broadcasting Minister M. Venkaiah Naidu said after the meeting that the government's crusade against black money and corruption will be carried to its logical conclusion, and that the NDA allies will take on the opposition parties, countering each of their allegations during the upcoming winter session of Parliament.
In today's BJP Parliamentary Party meeting, as well as NDA leaders meeting, the entire parties and also members have with one voice spoke praising the qualities of the leadership of the Honorable Prime Minister with regard to the decision to have surgical strikes. Second, with regard to this historic, bold, revolutionary decision of taking the war against corruption and black money.
हम अपनी पार्टी लोक जनशक्ति पार्टी के तरफ से प्रधानमंत्री जी को बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद देना चाहते हैं कि उन्होंने ये साहसिक कदम उठाया है। लोगों की तकलीफें हैं, कुछ समय के लिए है, लेकिन जब कोई नया मकान बनता है तो उसमें धूला उड़ता है, पुराना मकान जब गिरता है तो धूला उड़ता है।
ये निर्णय सही टाइम पे और ऐसा लिया गया कि किसी को पता भी नहीं चला, और यही होना जरूरी था कि जो हो गया इसके बहुत से फायदे भविष्य में भी होने वाले हैं।
जितने भी फैसले उन्होंने किए हैं, जैसे पाकिस्तान को आइसोलेट किया है सारी दुनिया में, और सर्जिकल स्ट्राइक और ये नोट बंद करने का जो फैसला किया है, सबसे पहले हमारे वरिष्ठ नेता सरदार प्रकाश सिंह बादल साहब ने उनका धन्यवाद किया था। आज हमारी पार्टी की तरफ से हमने भी सबसे मिलकर एनडीए के पार्टनर से इन दोनों के लिए प्रधानमंत्री जी का धन्यवाद किया है।
And in yet another move to lessen the woes of people facing a cash crunch, now the RBI on Monday directed banks to waive ATM charges on all transactions done by saving bank customers till 30th of December. Now, this waiver will be applicable on transactions done by a customer through his or her own bank ATMs as well as those of other banks. Now, the RBI also said that there would be no charges for both financial and non-financial transactions. This waiver is applicable on transactions done at ATMs from 10th of November till 30th of December this year. Now, banks remember charge up to 20 rupees beyond the permitted 3 mandatory free transactions from other bank ATMs. Meanwhile, acknowledging the difficulties being faced by the common man due to demonetization move, now the government on Monday announced steps to ease the situation. Now, the government on Monday said that the car parking will be free at airports across India for a week as it tries to reduce hardships for passengers affected by the sudden withdrawal of 500 and 1,000 rupee currency notes. The directive would be applicable on both the Airports Authority of India as well as privately operated also. Now, according to an official statement, the Ministry of Civil Aviation has decided to suspend the collection of parking charges at all airports till 21st of November. Meanwhile, amidst panic in banks and ATMs across the country, the Supreme Court will today hear a batch of PIL seeking a quashing of the government's decision to demonetize 500 and 1,000 rupee currency notes. Now, a bench comprising Chief Justice T.S. Thakur and Justice D.Y. Chandrachud has listed for hearing as many as 4 pleas against the 8th of November decision of Narendra Modi government. The petitioners have alleged that the sudden decision has created chaos for the public. And the Delhi government has called a special session of the Assembly to discuss the fallout of the centre's decision. Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal reiterated his demand that the centre must withdraw the move. He said that it was convinced that this was the only way to tackle the problem of black money. Then it should reintroduce the scheme later with better planning. The CM is also scheduled to meet West Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee to discuss the issue. Well, our correspondent Akhilesh Suman is in Jaipur and he has sent this report from outside an ATM where a long queue is waiting for its turn to get their hands on the new currency.
We are standing before the State Bank branch in Jaipur in the morning of Tuesday. You can see this is the State Bank ATM, but still it is closed. ATMs are supposed to be open 24/7 every day, but this ATM is closed. And the bank is still closed, but you can see the people standing in the queue. They are keeping their photocopy of identity cards and they are having their money in their hand. See, show the money. ये पैसा कहाँ से मिला आपको?
सैलरी मिला है 12 तारीख।
सैलरी मिला है, तो सैलरी आपको पुराना नोट दिया है। So you can see that they are getting their salaries in old notes, and they are supposed to change the notes, and they will get their salary in this form. So this is the situation in Jaipur till today. We have also heard that some of the youths are charging and they are standing in queue for some other people who cannot wait for 4-5 hours together. So whatever be the situation, even the shopkeepers are giving things just thinking that they can return it later on. And even now hospitals in Jaipur are also giving free registration and free consultation, seeing the situation. So people are in a cooperative mode, but they are having great problems so that they can not stand in the queue for long, for 5 hours. Whatever is the situation, some people are also telling that Modi ji has made us stand in the queue for voting for him. They also made us stand for standing in the queue for Jan Dhan Yojana, and now this is for note exchange. Akhilesh Suman for Rajya Sabha Television with camera person Om Prakash in Jaipur.
Well, rural areas in several parts of the country have been hit by the centre's demonetization move. Our correspondent Nav Vikram Singh brings us this report from a food grain market in Uttar Pradesh.
This is the situation at the food grain market in Eta in Uttar Pradesh. This is a time generally when the market is teeming with farmers and traders following the harvest. While the farmers have enough produce to sell, traders don't have the currency.
अगर हम किसान को पुराने नोट देते हैं तो किसान लेके नहीं जाता है, लेबर को देते हैं तो लेबर लेके नहीं जाती है, क्योंकि उनके सामने भी समस्या है। इस समय जो है 95% जो का है व्यापार पे जो है फर्क पड़ा है।
Some farmers are being forced to accept old notes. They have to purchase seed and fertilizers for the new crop. Small farmers are the worst hit by demonetization.
और ये दिक्कत तो था बहुत है रही है, अब परेशान है। अब हम का भी सौदा लेने जाए कछु तो देतना है सौदा, तो अब नोट लेतना है वे।
It is not only farmers and traders who have been hit. Daily wage laborers at the market are also facing a cash crunch. Hawkers have also been hit.
पैसे का मिल रहे हैं, 500 का नोट पकाते हैं तो 200 का काम हो तो 5 से, 400 का काम हो तो 5 से, बाहर गेट पे जाओ तो 450 में नोट चल रहा है, 25 रुपए जेब से जा रहे हैं मेहनत के।
खूब अच्छी भीड़ होती थी, खूब अच्छी बिक्री होती थी, पैदावार भी सही होती थी, और अब इस समय मंडी बंद है, कोई पैदावार है नहीं, धंधा पट पड़ गया हमारा।
This is the situation in several markets across the country. The centre's move for now has hit families dependent on such markets. This has also affected the economy of several rural areas. Nav Vikram Singh's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, the opposition parties are readying for a coordinated attack on the Modi government on the issue of demonetization. Well, the Congress and the TMC have already submitted notices in Parliament to try and corner the government on the move. Both the parties also met on Monday to jointly plan a strategy to tackle the issue in Parliament. Now, they have also reached out to the other political parties on the issue. Meanwhile, Congress and other opposition parties will hold a strategy meeting today to deliberate on their strategy.
Putting up a united front, opposition parties intensified their attack on the government on Monday against the demonetization move. West Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee spearheaded the effort for a united opposition to take on the government inside Parliament when the winter session begins on Wednesday.
When people are suffering, then political parties have to rise above their own party flags, get together. That's why Mamata Ji spoke to everybody today. So obviously all the coordinating is happening, and on the 15th, 16th, 17th, there will be this one day where all these parties meet the President.
The Congress has already given notices on the issue in both houses of Parliament.
कांग्रेस पार्टी सपोर्ट करती है
जो पैसे हैं, ब्लैक मनी है, उसको ख़त्म करने के लिए। मेरे ख्याल में हम लोग तो 2.5 साल से पीछे लगे थे प्रधानमंत्री के कि जो ब्लैक मनी है उसको ख़त्म करना, लेकिन हमने लोगों को ख़त्म करने के लिए नहीं बताया था।
The left parties too questioned the impact of the step on the common man.
Right now, the priority is that you pin down the government on the floor of the House. Till the House begins, in these 2 days, relief to the people. We are telling the government to announce that all public utilities and everywhere else, these notes will be accepted. And all white transactions will be accepted till 31st of December or maybe a few days earlier, because those organizations will have to put it in the banks till the 24th, 25th, whatever it is. So give that relief to the people immediately.
The Prime Minister admits there are difficulties for the people. This is what we have been saying, and other parties are also saying. The ordinary people, common people are subjected to unprecedented difficulties.
Parties like the SP, BSP and the Aam Aadmi Party continued with their demand for an immediate withdrawal of the move.
नरेंद्र मोदी की सरकार काला धन व भ्रष्टाचार पर अंकुश लगाने की आड़ में देश की करोड़ों आम जनता को ही खुले आसमान के नीचे लाकर खड़ा करवा देगी। इस भयावह स्थिति की कल्पना लोगों ने कभी भी नहीं की थी।
सरकार के पास कोई प्लानिंग नहीं थी इसको लागू करने की। ये सरकार की बौखलाहट और बदहवासी दिखाता है कि किस तरह से सरकार पूरी तरह से बौखला गई है और उसे समझ नहीं आ रहा है कि क्या करें। अब जिद पे अड़ी हुई है सरकार।
The BJP, on the other hand, questioned the opposition's intent on curbing black money.
काले धन पर जो चोट लगी है, उस पर जो लोग चिल्ला रहे हैं, तो इस काले धन पर चोट पर चिल्लाने वालों की नियत में है खोट।
With opposition parties united against the government's move, it will not be a smooth sailing in either house of parliament during the winter session. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, time to take a very short break. We'll be back with more news. Stay tuned.
Gyan Chopper is the ancient version of Indian snakes and ladders. This intriguing game was popular among the old, the young and the rulers as well. The chopper has its origin in the Jain philosophy. It tells the story of virtue, symbolized by the ladders, rewarded, while the vices shown by the snakes are punished. Each square, in turn, also narrates some message of wisdom.
Welcome back. Now, HRD Minister Prakash Javadekar on Monday has said that the government will reintroduce the Class 10 board examinations for CBSE schools from the academic year 2017-18. Now, Javadekar announced the news after meeting with Rajasthan Education Minister. Javadekar also said that the state governments will be given authority to reintroduce the Class 5 and 8 board examinations, a proposal for which will be tabled in the cabinet and then in parliament. He further added that the main focus of the HRD ministry was on improving the quality of school education, specifically of government schools. Now, speaking on the increase in the number of suicides among the students, HRD minister said that the government will provide free online coaching to all the IIT aspirants.
गवर्नमेंट स्कूलों की गुणवत्ता में सुधार करेंगे, क्योंकि बीच में ऐसा हो गया कि गवर्नमेंट स्कूल बोगस, तो सभी लोग प्राइवेट में जाने लगे। आज देश में 13 करोड़ छात्र गवर्नमेंट स्कूल में है और 10 करोड़ छात्र प्राइवेट स्कूल में है। 5वीं और 8वीं की परीक्षा करने का चॉइस राज्यों को देने के संबंध में आवश्यक संशोधन का प्रस्ताव हमारे मंत्रालय से कैबिनेट में जाएगा और कैबिनेट के निर्णय के बाद संसद में आएगा।
On to some other news now, and Israeli President Rivlin will today hold talks with Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Now, various MOUs are expected to be signed following the talks. Now, cooperation on security, agriculture and water resources is expected to figure in their talks. Well ahead of the meeting with Prime Minister, President Rivlin will be given a ceremonial reception at the Rashtrapati Bhavan. He will also visit the memorial of Mahatma Gandhi at Rajghat. He will also visit Agra, Karnal and Chandigarh during his stay in India. Now, Rivlin arrived in India on Monday on an 8-day visit. Now, this is the first Israeli presidential visit to India in nearly 20 years. Well, Pakistan on Monday summoned Indian High Commissioner Gautam Bambawale over the alleged ceasefire violations by Indian troops along the line of control and the death of 7 Pakistani soldiers. Well, Pakistan emphasized that the alleged action by Indian forces was a serious threat to the regional peace and security and may lead to a strategic miscalculation. On the other hand, Pakistani troops on Monday resorted to shelling and firing on Indian posts in 4 sectors along the line of control in Jammu, Rajouri and Poonch sectors of Jammu and Kashmir. Now, 2 people, including a Jawan, were injured in the shelling. Pakistani troops used 82mm mortar bombs and automatic weapons on Indian positions. Now, authorities are evacuating people from villages along the frontiers following frequent heavy firing and mortar shelling.
सर लोग पहले ही माइग्रेट थे, बड़ी मुश्किल से लोग वापस आना शुरू हो गए। फायरिंग 2-4 दिन से नहीं थी। मॉर्निंग से फिर से फायरिंग शुरू हो गई, कोई 2-3 बजे के करीब हो गया था। बड़ा ज्यादा शेलिंग हो रहा है, लोग घरों में फंसे हुए थे। तो एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन ने ये रेस्क्यू एक लगाई है बख्तरबंद गाड़ी, ताकि लोगों को रेस्क्यू किया जाए। यहाँ से जा रही है गाँव में से, लेकिन गाँव में शेल गिर रहे हैं, इसलिए वहां तक नहीं जा पा रही है अभी तक भी। तो हम लोग भी सहमे हुए थे, अभी थोड़ा सा फर्क पड़ा है और लोगों को ये गाड़ी वहां तक पहुंची और हम लोग वहां से निकल के यहाँ पहुंचे हैं। तो कोशिश है, लोग अभी भी देखो सैकड़ों की तादाद में लोग घरों में हैं, वहां से निकल रहे हैं, दौड़ रहे हैं। जैसे जैसे कोई ट्रांसपोर्ट का बन रहा है वैसे लोग भाग रहे हैं अभी।
And now the latest on Tata and mystery feud. Well, the independent directors of Tata Motors bagged board chairman Cyrus Mistry in a board meeting on Monday, but stopped short on an outright endorsement on picking sides in the power struggle within India's largest conglomerate. Now, in a vote note released, the independent directors said that all decisions taken by the board of Tata Motors on strategy and operations had been unanimous and executed by the chairman and the management. Well, the outcome of the meet is being considered as a setback for Tata Sons, which has already called for a number of special stakeholders meetings to outstir a mystery entirely from some of its group company boards. Now, Tata Sons ousted its Mistry as the chairman of the group, citing breach of trust and poor performance. Mistry, in turn, has faulted Tata Sons for poor governance structures and also blamed Ratan Tata for many of the conglomerate's legacy issues. Well, 2016 is going to be the hottest year on record and a new high for the 3rd year in a row. Well, the latest report injected gloom at the UN Climate Summit in Marrakech that looks to involve consensus on implementing the Paris climate change deal, which entered into force recently. Now, already there are fears that Donald Trump's presidency would end America's key involvement in the international fight against global warming and lead other nations to scale back targets to cut carbon emissions that they had agreed upon under the Paris deal.
The first 9 months of this year, we are fairly high up again, and we are breaking all the records. And it's likely that we are going to reach this year 1.2 degree warming level.
Another year, another record. The high temperatures seen in 2015 are set to be beaten in 2016. Temperatures from January to September this year were 1.2 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels, and it would remain high enough for the rest of the year to break the previous record. Experts say the most significant factor driving temperatures up continues to be carbon dioxide emissions.
With the wrong direction, if you think of this 1.5 degree warming level, which was agreed last year in Paris.
In the backdrop of such desperate situation calling for desperate measures, the World Climate Summit is being held in Marrakech, Morocco, with close to 190 nations trying to push forward with the Paris Climate Agreement that has the goal of limiting the rise in temperatures to well below 2 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial times. However, key differences remain among developing and developed nations. Moreover, the election of Donald Trump as President of the United States has triggered fears of undermining the Paris Accord. Trump had called climate change a hoax created by the Chinese. The Obama administration says it would do everything to implement a global agreement to combat climate change before Trump takes office.
The question now that this administration, are going to continue to address is how we will implement the Paris Agreement, and until January 20th, when this administration is over, we intend to do everything possible to meet our responsibility to future generations to be able to address this threat to life itself on the planet.
India says it wants a broad outline or roadmap for implementation of the Paris Agreement to be agreed during the summit. Environment Minister Anil Madhav, who is representing India at the talks, says India will push the world for adopting a low-carbon lifestyle. However, industrialized countries are consistently quibbling with developing countries on how much money they have paid and how much they should pay for the move towards a greener economy. The reluctance of rich nations to do more to reduce greenhouse gas emissions remains another big problem area. Also, the refusal of rich nations to enable cheap transfer of green technologies remains another contentious area. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV. Well, and sky gazers took to high-rise buildings, tourist landmarks and beaches worldwide on Monday to catch a glimpse of the closest supermoon to Earth in almost 7 decades. Remember, a supermoon occurs when the timing of a full moon overlaps with the point in the moon's 28-day orbit that it is closest to the Earth. Now, that moment in India came at 7:22 p.m. yesterday. The orbit of the moon around the Earth is elliptical, which makes the distance between the two objects change at times. While a full moon makes its closest approach to the Earth, it looks bigger and brighter than usual, therefore a supermoon. And the next time a full moon comes so close to the Earth will be in 2034. Well, hope that you also got that spectacle in the sky last night. And with that, we come to an end of this edition of news. Thanks for watching.